Hi everyone. Welcome to another session with me. We are live now. As usual, we usually come online 10 minutes before the session, but we've actually got about 6. We've got the session outline just displayed right there. So please have a look at the session outline. If there's anything else you would like covered in this session, please comment in the live chat below and we'll be taking notes. So I'm about to go a little bit quiet, not because I'm not here, but because we are just going to wait for 6 minutes for everybody to join us, and then we'll begin once we are set and ready to go. So at 6 o'clock on the dot, we will be beginning the session, which is in about 5 minutes. Thank you for joining us today. move this to the top. Okay, here we go. Right, hi family, and welcome back to another session with Ekria Dimples. Before we begin, we're just going to start with our ground rules. As usual, we always go through these. Hi family, and welcome. No, open it. Turn this. Just turn this off. Our special guest is making a lot of noise right now. Anyway, so before we begin, remember, we will be talking about children today, so it's very important that we make sure every child we are talking about today is kept anonymous. Also, don't mention the name of your child, please, when asking questions. Do not mention the name of maybe your child's school or where we can find you, because as we know, the internet is a very big place and we want to remain as confidential and private as possible of our children. Rule number 2, we always ask questions on this channel. We ask questions as we go, so please do not be a stranger. Don't be shy. We have Q&A at the end. However, we always like to ask questions as we go. So if I say something and in that moment you've got a question relating to it, feel free, ask the question. Today, there's just a little, it's not really a rule, but it's a bit of a heads up, because we've got a special guest here. And most of you know I've got a very young baby. Our special guest also has a very young baby. So you may be hearing baby noises. And if our special guest or myself may have to get up and go, you know why, because the babies are calling. So please bear with us in that area. So do ask the questions. And then rule number 3, like, comment, and subscribe. So you can press a thumbs comment as we go, and if you haven't already subscribe to my channel, because we are offering you this service for free. As you know, I'm a very expensive person, expensive, but this service is coming to you for free. So the least you can do is subscribe to the channel to register your interest and to show us you would like some more within this topic. And also share, because we are live with you right now. We can't quite do much on our phones, so please share it on your Facebook. Share the link. So if you press the share button, if you tap the screen, you will see the arrow that's doing this is the share button. Tap the share button, copy the link, post it to your friends on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere, because there are parents in many areas who need this support and this help. So, on that note, let's go straight through our session outline, which is displayed on the screen. So first, we've done the ground rules already. We will be talking about, why do children have a difficulty with maths? Why do they specifically struggle in maths? Not as much as they do in English, but maths is a subject that keeps popping up. So we'll be talking about that. We'll be looking into the maths curriculum and what it entails. We'll really be talking a lot about basic skills in maths. And today's session, we really want to give you some free resources you can do at home. Some simple examples. So please ask the questions, because we've got a math specialist with us today who will be telling us even more. I like to think I'm a specialist, but our specialist today is specific in maths. So ask questions as we go, so we can learn together. We don't want this to be a one-way street where it's just me, but it's coming from all areas, because you might have a question that someone else actually would like answered. So in you asking, you'll be able to help everybody else. And then we'll have Q&A at the end, but I am hoping you'll be asking the questions as we go, so it's not all weighted or left to the end. Right. Here is our special guest today, and I'm going to let our guest just introduce herself.
Well, there's not much to say. My name is Candy, and I am a maths coordinator and ICT coordinator. I've been teaching for about 4 years, and I love maths. That's all there is to say.
She loves maths. Everything maths. She's your woman, and we've got her with us today. So first of all, we're going to talk about basic skills in maths. So some of the basic skills that we need to know with maths is times tables. We need to know our number bonds. We need to know our place value. We need to know shapes. So these are the basic skills that we are actually going to try and break down for you today. Times tables, number bonds, place value, and also shapes. There are a lot more things to maths. However, we want to really delve deeper into these areas of maths. What is the maths curriculum? The maths curriculum entails, so for our session 1, if you were here for session number 1, I taught you where to find the maths national curriculum. So if you were not here for session 1, the video is saved on my channel. Do go and have a look at a later stage on where to find the maths curriculum. But some of the key focus areas in the maths curriculum, and please add to it as I go if I've missed anything out. So the maths curriculum entails number, there's geometry, there's measure, there's shape. So all these areas are part of the maths curriculum. And for early years, which is younger children, early years foundation stage, we have
They normally do number recognition and they also do shapes.
So early years is all about number recognition and shapes. So early years, you don't have much on maths because they learn a lot through play. But the key focus is number recognition and shape. So today we'll be definitely covering number recognition. So today's session, we are hoping it will suit all areas from EYFS, which is early years foundation stage, through to the primary stage, national curriculum. The Americans might call it preschool. If I have any Americans watching me today, we'll look into preschool. And also, we'll be looking at how their learning in primary or preschool will be able to be applied when they are older in terms of secondary school or even college. So we're trying to touch base with all areas and all developmental stages today. So if you feel like you have a question that's not been answered in our talking, ask them as we go. Before we begin, I can see that we already have some comments going on. So we have Brother Paul Smith saying, here and waiting for 6 o'clock so we can start. Yes, we have started. We've got Kev Bow saying, hello family, I can't wait to learn more. Hi family, thank you for coming to see us today. We've got Jennifer Chumisi saying, can't wait for today's session. So thank you to those people who were here early and on time. As you know, I always log on at 6 o'clock on the dot with the session outline displayed for you. So if there's anything you'd like amended, you can. So before we start going into our basic skills, are there any questions? Is there anything you'd like amended to our session outline for today?
I think you want to talk about why children struggle with maths more than English?
Yes, so we'll be talking about why children struggle more with maths more than English, definitely. So we'll give a few seconds, any questions that may pop up, and then we'll talk about that. Why do children struggle with maths more than English? Because I know we're a little bit behind than the usual. Okay, let's start. So why do children usually struggle with maths more than in English? I think the main difference is because in maths, the answer is either 1
Or 2.
or 2. That's your answer and there's no way around it. Whereas with English,
It's true or false, sort of.
It's true or false, and you can amend. With English story writing, you can't say this. Sometimes you can say this story is better than that story, but it's all subject to debate. So with English, the answers are not always straightforward and it's not quite clear cut. There are ways around this. Someone's writing will have a lot of adjectives in it, whereas another child would have been good with their capital letters and full stops. So their quality or what's good about their writing varies from child to child. Whereas with maths, it's A or it's B. There's no way about it. So with that, it means children usually struggle in terms of the confidence area because they're always second guessing themselves and thinking, am I right? Because they know there's a right answer. is this correct? Is this wrong? So with that struggle, right from early on, they sometimes lack confidence, and then that can almost make them second guess themselves, and they start to struggle in that area because they know there should be a right answer and you are looking for the right answer, so they want to give you the right answer.
And again, with maths, children just start going, oh, so how do I get to the answer, sort of, whereas when they're doing English, it's like, oh, there's a story and I need to go and understand the story. There's something to follow, something that interests me, something I'm going to find out about. Whereas when they look at maths, it's like a lot of numbers, lots of symbols, and oh my goodness, how do I tackle this sort of thing? So I think it's very important for you to think of maths the way you think about English. So if I were to tell you a story about how the man went to the farm and then dug a whole pocket of, I don't know, gold, and then brought it home and eventually ended up in the ditch. It's like, oh my goodness, what happened next? So what happened to the gold? Like, you want to find out about that. So it's the same. If you think about maths in the same way, or you get children to understand numbers in the same way, as in 1 links to 10 and then links to 100, okay, what's coming next, sort of thing. It makes you, have that interest in there. Children start to become curious, and then they want to know more about maths. So I think, it's nice to kind of get children interested or understanding maths as a storytelling sort of, because it is a storytelling thing. If you go to the shop and you want to buy something, and you go, oh, okay, I want 2 packs of crisp, one is 60p. It is a story. How am I going to get to pay at the end? What do I get back, and all of those things. So let's start thinking of maths the same way we think about
girls. Yes, I on something there with symbols, because maths, there's a lot of symbols, the addition sign, the subtraction sign, the pi sign when they get, so symbols as well is something that is quite abstract, and maths can be very abstract. So for children, it's an area where they may struggle with and think, oh, what's this symbol? Whereas English, once you can read and understand what you are reading, it's a lot easier to understand. And this is why children struggle a lot more with maths than they typically do in English. I'm not saying there are some children who are probably amazing actually in maths, they love maths, but they struggle in English. But usually the typical norm is that maths is what most may struggle with, but there are different varying abilities, and some children may have needs in certain areas.
And to be frank with you, some children actually see maths in a different way compared to other children, so they might be enticed by those symbols and they might work harder at maths than they would have worked at English or whatever other subject you're talking about.
So today we are here to tell you one thing, okay? In order to break that barrier in the learning of maths, we call it the CPA approach. And if there's one thing you leave here with today, it's the CPA approach. What does CPA stand for? It stands for concrete, pictorial, and abstract. The CPA approach can be applied to any new learning in maths. Or it might not be new learning, but something a child is struggling with. You can always adapt the CPA approach: concrete, pictorial, and abstract. What do I mean by that? With any new learning, for example, you want to teach a child the times table. Before you teach it, first you need to think C, which is concrete. What concrete resources can I give this child to introduce them to the learning? Concrete resource in schools, you may have seen number lines and deans and all those fancy things that schools buy. But today we want to show you some examples of ones you can make. And I can see Candy just brought a tray here of things that we will be sharing with you at a later stage. The second stage is P, pictorial. So once you've given that child that concrete stuff they've played with, if it's times table, they've been counting up and down in 2s, counting up and down in 3s, they've had the experience of concrete resources, then you move to P, pictorial. Can they draw a representation, a pictorial representation of that number? So the number 2, can they draw 2 circles? The number 2, can they draw 2 people? The number 2, can they draw 2?
Can I show you 2 apples?
2 apples. Do you see that? So once they can concrete managing apples as a number 2, to drawing apples, pictorial stage. Then you move to the abstract, and abstract is a child's...
Yeah, before abstract, even in the pictorial section, try to add visualizing, because you cannot draw 1,000 apples, but can I visualize 1,000? Yeah, I can visualize 1,000. That means that I can actually see tens of 100 apples. Then I can visualize it in my head. So I think visualizing is also very, very important. So yeah.
Is your phone connected? Disconnect.
No, I am. It's connected here.
Sorry, I was just alerted. I'm using it.
That the internet wasn't connected properly.
Yeah.
Oh, it says it's unstable.
The internet connection is unstable, so please, if the internet does go off, please do let us know.
Someone should comment.
Oh, it's
so
Shiloh.
that we can see. Shiloh, do you want?
I think my niece is connected to my...
Yes.
Babe, can we please turn off her internet?
Oh, okay.
I think
it's connect to yours if that's okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Sorry, internet problem. We're trying to avoid the internet. Just said it's unstable, so we've had to disconnect all Wi-Fi connections. Sorry, modern day issues.
Well, things happen, doesn't it?
Oh Lord.
It's okay. You could just refresh it.
Oh, the battery is low on this. Can we get this charged? The phone just went off.
Seems very disorganized, but this happens a lot everywhere, especially in classrooms. So.
That means yours is about to go off. Okay, right. Anyways, let's continue. So the abstract stage is when
you write the numbers and then you try to figure out what the answer is.
Exactly. It's those methods that we were typically taught.
Yeah, I think you think about as long divisions or multiplying bigger numbers by other numbers, long multiplication, or how to figure out fractions and stuff like that. Once you write the number down and you move on to solve it, you are moving from the whole pictorial visualization stage into your abstract stage, and that's when it becomes tricky for children, because if they have a problem and then they're trying to solve it, immediately they're trying, what method do I need? And that's when all of these things come in. But if they're able to use those concrete resources that you give them, and they're able to manipulate all of those concrete resources, then try to draw it out using those pictorial all of those pictorial resources that you've taught them before, then they can transfer it easily into the abstract. Okay.
So basically, if a child is finding long division difficult, what do? You go back to pictorial. See, can they represent in the pictorial stage? Do they know what 18 divided by 2 is as picture? Drawing 18 pictures, putting it into twos.
Yeah, that is very true. I was going to say, I wouldn't go all the way straight to concrete, because then you're just kind of taking them way back to the first stage. I would take them a step back, just like Jennifer said, Dimple said, and then I'll take them to the pictorial. And if they're still struggling with the pictorial, then probably go back to concrete and then work your way back to the abstract.
Exactly. So you start the line of concrete, go to pictorial, then you go to abstract. But if they're struggling with abstract, you go back to pictorial. If they're still struggling, then you go to concrete. Do you see it? So today we're going to give you real examples of how to do just that. Right. So we're going to first talk about times table. Times table is
my favorite. Is times table.
I know.
No, not really, because as a teacher you have to get every child to learn your times tables, and it's not as if I know it's very demanding and children feel like you're just making them learn numbers, and that's not what it is, because times tables are very transferable skills. You need it everywhere you go. You need it when you're doing your multiplications, you need it when you're doing your divisions, you need it when you're doing your word problems, you need it when you're even doing your graphs, when you have to plot down skills. You need times tables everywhere. So it's very important that you know that it's the first basic skill that every single child knows. I know number bond is very important as well, but I feel like times table is the most important one that you need to know. So first of all, we've talked about why times tables. It's very important. We know it's transferable. You need it in everything that you do. Okay, let's move on to talk about We've already talked about how this is useful.
And you know what? Typically, when we were young, we learned our times tables through rote learning.
Oh yeah, that is
we
true.
do lots and lots of rote learning, which is good.
Which we still do at school with times tables, because you have to learn it off the top of your head anyways. But the other thing is, you have to understand what you're doing. Okay, it's good for me to say, oh, yeah, come here, Alice. Today we're going to learn our 2 times table, 2, 4, 6. And okay, that I know all of that, 2, 4, 6. What am I doing, miss? Sort of, mommy, what does that mean? Why are we learning all of this 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, or whatever it is? They have to understand what it is about. To you how this works, so we will show it a bit later on in the live session that we're doing today. But anyways, it is very important that even though children are learning this off the top of their head, they know that every single time they do their times table, they're adding on a certain number. So if they're doing their 2 times tables, they're doing repeated addition, so they repeat the addition every single time. 2, 4, I add another 2, I get 6, I add another 2, I get 4. I think I'll stop here and then we'll show the video. It makes more sense with a child, and then we will proceed from there. What do you think?
And just to add to it, a good way of teaching times tables at home is making sure it's everywhere and it can be seen. Okay, so we're going to just quickly show you a video of how to start teaching times tables. So this is a child, maybe early years or moving on to reception, year 1, year 2, where they are learning times table brand new. They are able to count, and they're able to count. For instance, they learn the 2 times table. They're able to count in 2s, but they are learning their times tables from scratch. So we are going to show you in this video how to transition from counting and transition it into times tables. So we are going to play this video for you now.
6 minutes.
So I know you've been collecting some counters. Can you count to show me how many counters you've got there?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
You have 12 counters. I'm so glad you know how to count in ones up to your 12 counters. Okay. Is there another way that you could have counted to make it easier?
In 2.
You can count in 2s. Can you show me counting in 2s?
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12.
So you counted in 2s up to 12. Was that a lot easier to count than in your ones? Yeah, so I think sometimes it's easier to count in 2s than 1s, especially when you've got lots more counters in the future. Okay, so counting in our 2s, knowing that 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. What does this remind you of? So let's have a look. So when I have 2 and then I add another 2, what happens to the number?
It makes 4.
It makes 4. What's the difference? Do you know the difference between 2 and 4?
2 has
2 has 2 ones. Fantastic. And what about the number 4?
4 has 4 ones in there.
4 has 4 ones. You are such a superstar. Okay, so what if I told you 2, when I add another 2 to make 4, I have doubled the number. So the number is now 2, add another 2 makes 4. So the number is twice as big. Okay, so every time we are counting in 2s, we are adding, what are we adding?
2.
Exactly. So every time I count it, so I've got 2 here. When I count up in 2s, I am
doubling.
I am doubling, and I'm also adding.
Adding 2.
I am adding 2. So when we count up in 2s, we are adding 2. Can you say that? When we count up in 2s, we are adding 2s.
When you count up in 2s, we are adding 2s.
Lovely. So 2, 4. Count with me.
6.
What did I just do? I.
Double.
So I didn't double this time round. I've added
Another pair.
another pair, which is 2. So 2, 4, 6. Count with me.
8.
And what did we do? We've added
Another pair.
another pair. So let's call it 2. So we've added 2. Say it with me. We've added
2.
Lovely. So let's count what we have so far. 2, 4, 6, 8. And then what are we going to do?
Add another 2.
To make 2.
4, 6, 8, 10.
And then what are we going to do?
And then double them and then have another 2.
Exactly. We're going to add another 2 to make. Let's count from the start.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12.
So today we have been counting up in 2s, and we have learned that whenever you count up in 2, you are adding
2.
Exactly, you are adding another 2. So every time you count in 2s, you are adding another 2. Counting 2s, adding 2s. So when we are adding 2, it's like the times tables, okay? So by knowing this, it helps us with our times tables, because now if I say this is 1 lot of 2, which is 1 times 2, the answer is
2.
If I have 2 lots of 2s, which is 2 times 2, the answer is
4.
If I have 3 lots of 2s, which is 3 times 2, the answer is 2, 4,
6.
6. If I have 4 lots of 2s, because it's 4 times 2, the answer is 2.
2, 4, 6, 8.
If I have 5 lots of 2s, which is 5 times 2, the answer is
2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
10. If I have 6 lots of 2, which is 6 times 2, the answer is
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12.
Oh my goodness, I think you are even ready to start writing these down to show that you are starting to learn your 2 times tables. Give me a high five. You are a super learner. Say, I'm a super learner.
Super learner.
Say, I'm a super learner.
I'm super learner.
Wow.
That was one smart child, wasn't she?
Very clever girl. So as you can see, that was only 6 minutes long. So you can see how much progress this child quickly made, simply because we used their prior knowledge in counting and then used those counting skills to slowly develop into their times table skills.
And bear in mind, if you keep doing this for more than 6 minutes, any child's going to get bored and they're going to tune out. Don't sit a child down and do from 1 to 12 times tables. It's just a quick thing and then move on. And then, I don't know, tomorrow morning she's getting ready. Do you remember what we did yesterday? Can you just tell me? 2, add on 2, add on another 2. And I think those work much better, because then you're keeping them interested and it's like a random time and they don't have to actually think about it, but then it's more like you're refreshing their memory than you sitting them down and then trying to teach them, which that's not your job. Send them to school, let them learn there, but your job is to support them and then let them kind of progress in that way.
Exactly. And as you saw in the video, what I did a lot of was speaking. So last week we talked about speaking and listening.
Which you shouldn't do.
So if you didn't watch session 2, you weren't here for session 2 session on English reading, go and watch that, because we emphasized on the importance of speaking and listening. So even in the teaching of maths, we do a lot of speaking and listening. So you can see that every time when I then eventually went 2 lots of 2, I'll say to the child, can you repeat it? Let me hear you. Because you, the adult, you are the model, and then you want that child to also be able to model what you are doing. So then so by letting them speak what you've just said, they are also internalizing it, and it's next time you go back to that same topic, the child is much more likely to use that language. So going back to our chat, are there any questions that you have so far? Any questions on times tables and what we did in that video that you might want explained a little bit more?
Well, Josie says she's going to be trying this at home tonight with her son.
Oh, yes.
One more thing that we forgot. It's very, very interesting that you're picking on this and you want to try with your son. First thing you need to know, specifically to Josie.
So we've got Josie Butterfly saying, such a great way to teach times tables. I'm going to try this with my son tonight.
Find out what times table your child is doing at school. You do not want to teach a 7-year-old or a 6-year-old the 12 times table from the get-go. And you don't want to be teaching, I don't know, that a 12-year-old 4 times table. They might know it already. So find out what they're doing at school. And I think year 1, they start off with 2, 5, and 10. And then it kind of progresses on 3, 4, and then 6, 7, and so on. So find out what they're doing. You can Google this online, or you can ask your child's teacher, and then they would tell you. And you can just work on that.
I think that was a very valid point, because it's knowing... We would think you teach them 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. It doesn't go in that order. Certain times tables lend themselves better. For instance, if a child knows their 2s, it's really nice if you go on to 4s, for example, because if you know 2, 4, 6, 8, it's easier to know 2. Sorry, 2, even for your 4, it's easier to know 4 and then 8 and then 12. Do you see it? Yeah. Because you will see that it's a pattern. It's every other one from the 2 times tables. So certain times tables work better once you know one. Like if you know there are 5 times tables, 10s are a good way to go to. So research where your child is right now and use that learning to move them on, if that makes sense. Always tapping into prior knowledge and then use that to teach new knowledge. So the example you saw was us using concrete. So if I've done that concrete practice with a child, I'll do it a few times. Let them experience. I'll do it with apples. We will do it with different concrete resources that they can play with. And there are so much. As you saw in the video, we just had bottle tops.
Yeah, and you can also use these counters. You used to play with them when we were younger. I think it's the... Is it a Supermall?
This is a Supermall. We're not advertising Supermall, by the way. Supermall, if you are watching, you can sponsor me if you want to. So everyday things, you can use pasta in the house, and we'll be showing you a video of pasta later on. Anything in the house can be used. Stones, pebbles from the beach. If you visit the beach, go and get pebbles. You don't need
fries
to
that
buy...
they've eaten, you can use that as well.
Whilst eating chips at home, let's count in 2s. Let's eat 2 chips at a time. 2, 4, 6, 8. You know, you can use
it's just to
things
get them
at home.
Yeah, thinking and get it entertaining and interactive. It's not let's sit down and learn it. No, we're eating. How many have you put in your mouth? How many groups do you have in your mouth now? Oh, I've got 2. Oh, can I do 4? Can I fit 6 in my mouth? That's 2 times 3 in my mouth. Wow, 2 times 3 in your mouth. That is so entertaining. Get them interested.
Make it fun.
Make it fun. That's
and we can see Derek Larby's here clapping. So thank you. He's telling us he's enjoying it, I'm guessing. So thank you for tuning in with us today.
Clapping you out. Again, what the other thing we're talking about now, we've used the concrete. They're visualizing eating the chips. The next thing you have to do is actually write it out for them.
Pictorial.
That's the you can do a pictorial one, or you can do an abstract one with just the numbers, and then probably hang it somewhere by the wardrobe where they're changing constantly. In the morning they change, in the evening they change. Hang it by the mirror if they like looking in the mirror. Hang it by the door. When you're leaving the house, when you come into the house, they're always seeing it somewhere that they will see it all the time. And once you can see something all the time, you kind of start memorizing it. I think like
exactly.
We should move on, because
I think that's a good idea, actually, that the child's writing of their times tables to be displayed, because it's a celebration of their work, and also they learn from it as well. And resources, there are apps with times tables as well that you can use for times table. So please use an app if you'd like. If your child likes technology, maybe they can use apps to help them. And you
We
can
probably will find some apps and then put them. I know a
We'll
few
put
of them,
the
but I don't
links.
want to obviously
Like-
say it on here.
I don't know.
I don't know if
like-
it's allowed.
Times Tables,
Yeah.
Rockstars, or Mathletics, those websites, but we will put some in the description once
Yeah.
we figure out if we're allowed to. And also Times Tables printouts. You can Google it and you can have a printout as well as a display.
Oh, there's this story that we wanted to share.
About the siblings.
Yeah. So there was this child.
Use siblings.
Use your siblings. There was this child on the bus, and I was going on my way to work, and it was funny. I think he was around maybe 11, and then he had a younger sibling who's about 5. And then on the bus, instead of just yapping away or staying on the phone, he said to his brother, "Should we do a challenge? What do you think we should do here? Should we do our times tables?" And it was just interesting how they were just rushing through it, just with the younger sibling and the older sibling, and that's like time killed on the bus for about half an hour of times table. Obviously this is a child who's like extraordinary to be able to do that with the child, and it was quite interesting to see. So use those siblings at home. It doesn't have to be your job, it could be their job as well.
Exactly. So if they've got siblings, use them. So let's move on now. So we've talked about times tables and the importance and how to teach it. We're now going to look into recognizing number, and actually maybe we should have talked about this first, because to be able to start your times tables you need to be able to recognize number, and this is for your EYFS early years stage.
And some children as well who struggle to learn at the same level as everyone else might have problems with this as well.
SEN. So there are some children might be in year 5, but they are working at a level where they are learning to recognize numbers. Do you see that? So these are skills, and actually you might have a child who is still writing their numbers backwards.
Yeah.
These are simple
She
things
writes
you can
fine
apply.
as
There
well.
are children in secondary school who don't know their times tables. So even though we are saying typically year 2s, year 3s, by year 4 they should know their times tables. That's their expectation. And actually with times tables in year 4 they are
There's
now
a
doing a
times table
times tables test. So the year 4 times tables test is applied in all primary schools in UK, and they need to sit that. It's like a SAT basically, but it's a times tables test. So if your child doesn't know their times table, this era is even more important, because in year 4 they'll be tested and their results will be added on to their SAT.
It's just like their SATs.
It's just like a SAT, but it's a times tables test, an exam. So now there's even more need to drive times tables at home. So recognizing number, what does this mean? Recognizing number, as adults we think number sense just comes naturally, but actually children have to be taught that speaking number 1 and also knowing the number on the screen, number 1. So children need to be able to recognize number from the early years foundation stage. Or if they've got special needs, they may still be learning to recognize numbers. So it's knowing the number and knowing how it looks visually on the screen. So learning to recognize them. This is useful because children will learn transferable skills that they'll be then able to apply later on within all areas of mathematics. So until a child is able to recognize a number, they're not able to apply it to other areas of maths, which they will be learning. For instance, weight, money, time, all those use numbers, physical written ways of using number. So recognizing number is very important. How do you start teaching those? We've talked about eating. Even when you're eating, you are counting with your child, and then use the counting and apply it to a pictorial method, which is for an abstract method, sorry. So for example, I've counted 3 chips. I'm going to write the number 3. The number 3 looks like this. 3. Oh, Jaden is online. Jaden is saying hello, back again to learn something new. Thank you for coming back again, Mr. Jaden, and for joining us. Thank you, thank you. It's always great to know that people are returning from previous weeks. So thank you for coming back to learn. You definitely learn something new. Getting the groceries out, counting how many of different things we have once you are using groceries. Bottle tops, stones, pencils. Using those things to help children recognize numbers and acquiring those core number skills. On that note, looking into number bonds. So once they're able to recognize number and they know the number 1, the number 2, the number 3, the number 4, we start looking at number bonds, okay? Sorry, you keep seeing Candy going in and out. As you know, we've got children, so we will be in and out, but there will always be one person here. So looking into number bonds. What is number bonds? So number bonds is, for example, knowing that a 10, the number 10, there are bonds of numbers that can be put together to create 10. How do you make 10? You can 1 and 9 will make 10. 2 and 8 will make 10. 7 and 3 will make 10. So 7 and 3 are a number bond of 10. 8 and 2 are a number bond of 10. Why do children need to know number bonds?
Wait, Miss, what's number bonds?
Yes, this is what they always ask. What's a number bond? Is 2 numbers coming together to make that number.
Oh, now I know.
So, how do why would this help a child later on in life? Number bonds, when you get bigger numbers, it helps with arithmetic, mental arithmetic. So knowing that 7 and 3 makes 10 quickly as a number bond also helps a child to know 70 and 30 makes 100. Helps a child know 700 and 300 makes...
Or 13 and 7 makes 20.
Do you see that? Number bonds are the core foundation to building greater arithmetic skills. Also, it helps with their addition skills because they're able to add. It helps with subtraction. If you know 7 add 3 is 10, then you know 10 take away 3 is
7.
You also know 10 take away 7 is 3.
3.
So those number bonds help children with their arithmetic skills. So they don't only need to know number bonds to 10 or the obvious ones. Number bonds to 7. Number bonds to 3. Number bonds to 8.
20.
Number bonds to 20.
Number bonds to 1,000.
Ooh. Do you see that? So once they know their number bonds, they're able to apply those skills to other learning and greater numbers as well. So we have a video here, very quickly, on me teaching a child their number bonds to 10 using everyday resources.
So we make this one today. It's stuck on that.
So we made this using a normal hanger you find at home and pasta. So this is everyday thing you've got at home. Hanger and pasta. If you don't have a hanger, you can use a string. If you don't have pasta or food is hard right now, I completely understand. Coronavirus has got food shortages in all homes. If you don't want to use food, so this is pasta, you can use beads.
Or you can also use pegs.
Or you can use pegs. You know pegs that you hang your laundry on. So you can use everyday materials to teach number bonds. And that's what we've used here today. I'm just going to play the video for you. And after, we'll delve a little bit deeper into how to apply the number bonds further and how you can also implement it at home. Enjoy the video.
4 point something.
Okay, so today we are going to do our number bonds of 10, okay? So on this hanger here, do you remember how many pasta we've got? Can you count it?
1, 2,
3. Let's move it to the end.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
We have 10, the number 10. Say the number 10.
Number 10.
So we have the number 10, and how many different ways can we make 10? Okay, so I'm going to start with the first number bond for you. So looking at this hanger now, I have 0 pasta on this side. So 0 and 10 makes 10. Okay, my second one, I'm going to say, okay, 1. So if I've got 1 on this side, then I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9 on this side, so I know 1 and 9 makes 10. Could you do the next one for me, please?
2.
We have 2 on this side, and let's count.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Lovely. So
2 and 8 make 10.
2 and 8 makes 10. Fantastic. Do you want to do the next one?
Yeah. 3 and 7.
So you even know it's 7. You didn't even have to count. So 3 and 7 makes
10.
10. Okay, I'm going to make this even harder for you now. So we are not going to say 3 and 7 is 10. We're going to say 3. We're replacing the word and with add. 3 add 7 is 10. Can you repeat that for me?
3 and 7 is 10.
Excellent. Do you want to do the next one here then? So can you count this side for me?
4 and
Let's count.
6.
So you know it's 6. 4 add 6 is?
10.
It's 10. Lovely. Next one. Now we're going to be speedier now.
5 and 5 is 10.
Excellent. Let's go.
6 and 4 is 10.
Lovely.
7 and 3 is 10.
Now I'm going to stop you there. 7 add 3 is 10. What did we notice? So we've got 7 add 3 is 10. But we also know that 3 add
7 is 10.
Did you see that? So 3 add 7 is 10, and also 7 add 3 is 10. So it's the same numbers, but when we put them the other way around, it still adds to the same 10.
10.
Okay? So these are our number bonds to 10. And then later, we might even go bigger. What if I said to you, this isn't 1, but this was 10? So 10 add 90 equals 100. Number bond of 100. So if 10 add 90 is 100, 20 add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 20 add 80 is 100. Next one, we have 1, 2, 3. So if it's 30, let's count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 30 add 7
Is
70 is
100.
lovely, and so on and so forth. But today you have shown me you have mastered your number bonds of 10. Give yourself a pat on the back, please. Yay! Excellent. Break it down. Nope. Right, so thank you. So as you saw just then, we were looking at number bonds using simple hanger and pasta. Do you see that? And how we were able to go from 1 add 9 is 10 to knowing that 10 add 90 is 100. So this is a simple way of representing number using your number bonds. And this is fun, you know, for any child. After we finished this session, she just wanted to play with it and play around counting and adding numbers. So it's just a child knowing they made it and then being able to then also use it at home. It makes it a lot more exciting. So I know we like the fancy stuff you can buy off the internet, but a child making something means they are more likely to want to implement it. So we've got a comment from Bernie saying this is a great way of teaching. Thank you very much. I'm glad you have tuned in with us today. So these are our number bonds. Also, you can do my turn, your turn games. So
my turn.
So last week we looked at doing my turn and your turn when you were teaching a child to read. and to recognize new words. So you can use my turn, your turn with number bonds as well. So once that child knows 1 and 9 is 10, 2 and 8 is 10, and they know that fluently, and you want to build the fluency further, turn it into a game. So Candy and I are going to play a game of my turn, your turn for you today. Okay? So we are both going to be children in this game. And when I give a number, Candy has to give me the other number to make 10. So we're going to say, oh, today you need to make 10. So we're going to play my turn, your turn on making the number 10. And we have to try and trick each other.
Why don't we challenge ourselves and do 100? Number bonds of 100.
Okay, we're going to do 100, says Candy today. So we're going to do number bonds of 100. She wants to catch me out because she's a maths specialist. That's fine. I will show her.
She's allowed to ask 2 questions and I do 2 questions. I give her some easy questions.
So she'll give me quick. So we're going to do, first let's do tennis. Tennis, we do a game of tennis, my turn, your turn. I'll say a number, she has to say the other number, the other bond quickly to make 10. So let's start. 1,
9,
2,
8,
5,
5,
3,
7.
So do you see that? Then, okay, let's go to 100. You start this time.
90,
10.
99.
1. Do you see that? She started to even...
And can you see, once someone gets stuck, it kind of gets interest, like, oh, I want to get him sort of thing. And then, yeah.
And how did I work at 99? If I know 1 and 9 makes 10, then another 1 and 9 makes 10. It helped me to know that 99. Okay? But knowing that, on that note, knowing that 99, that first number 9, okay, I'm going to see if I can apply this on the screen. Right, so if we know the number 99, I hope this is the right way round.
Okay. Keep going. So number, yeah, that's the
Okay,
right way
it's the correct. Sorry, we had to check on our screen if we were writing the correct way round. So if we know, I'm going to start that again. If we know, I'll write a little smaller. The number 99. Now you move on to place value. Okay, knowing the place value, because a child would say, okay, number 99 has the number 9 and a 9. And this is where times have changed, because when we were in school, we weren't taught place value, the value of a digit. Knowing the value of digits in a number. So 99 is not a 9 and a 9.
No, it's a 90 add
9. Do you see that? So you can start to then write it in an abstract. Now we're going into abstract. Simple number bonds, we did concrete. We start to go into abstract when we go into place value. So the 99, you can say this number here is actually 90. Sorry about the handwriting. Touch screen is not great. And then this number here is worth a 9.
And the 90 as well, you can look at it and see it's 9 tens. So this column here, that one, it's called the tens column, and then that one is the ones column. So I have 9 ones, and then here I have 9 tens. And if you go on to 100 number, you have 9 hundreds. If there was another 9 on here, I cannot do it.
So if we had another 9, so if we had the number 999, you get it. Then it'll be 990 and 9. So the 99 is a 90 and a 9. Once children know the value of digits within a number, it starts to now go into more in-depth understanding of number, knowing the weight of a number. Okay, so place value is not just, let's remove the 99 from the screen now.
Back.
So place value is not just knowing to count to 100, knowing that 90 and 9 is 99, but it's also the value, the weight of that number, and that helps with mathematical reasoning and delving deeper within the topic of maths. Because once numbers start to get bigger, if a child doesn't understand place value and the actual weight of a number, they're going to struggle a little bit with mathematical reasoning and thinking.
One other application of place value, very important, day-to-day life, is money. You get £1.38, and then you're thinking, oh, £1. £1 could be 100 pennies, so 100 of 1 pennies, or it could be just the £1 that you've got. So once they have an understanding, they can transfer that. They go to the shop, £1.65. Okay, I've got £1 and I've got 65 pennies, and it's the same as those place value, but now it's being used in the real world and it's being used to calculate money. So it's very, very important that children do get the understanding of what place value is.
Exactly, because once the numbers get bigger, they need to really understand the concept. If the child doesn't have that root understanding, those concrete understanding of bonds and place value, when they get older, that's when some of us start to fall off, because we start to not understand maths, because we don't have that basic concrete understanding of place value.
And to be frank with you, this is not just for when you're starting off with maths. In arithmetic in year 6, these are one of the questions that they ask. How many thousands do you have in this number? What is the value of the 9 in this number? And that you get at least 3 or 4 questions of place value in your arithmetic when you do your stats in year 6. So it's something to look out for as well.
And even in secondary schools as well, yeah, you will need to know values of numbers to be able to actually work out complex mathematical concepts. So, any questions so far? We've spoken a lot. We've shown you a lot on videos. Do we have any questions yet?
Yep.
Let's have a look. So Bernice Nunu said, this is a great way of teaching.
Oh, that's great. We only have one to go. Okay.
Any questions? Guys, please don't be shy. Honestly, ask the questions as we go, because it's the only way we will learn. And in you asking, someone else probably got it in mind as well, and they want to know. So ask any questions. We'll give it. I know the stream is a few seconds behind what we are saying, so we're going to give you a few seconds. Give you 30 seconds.
Even though you can always DP her, and then not me.
Few seconds. Any questions at all?
I'm trying to think, if I was a parent, what would be the biggest question that I would want to ask. Maybe I'll come up with the one and I'll ask her.
Okay, we're going to move on swiftly.
Ooh, I like this one. I am a shape.
So we are going into shape, and Candy is a shape.
I am a shape.
So looking at shape, what does this mean?
Shape. Shapes kind of, they're like the outlines of things. So if you look at my face is kind of circular, obviously. This is not a proper shape. But if I were to actually delve into it, it might be a hexagon. You get what I mean? So we're looking at the outline of objects. So it could be a circle, it could be four-sided, that would be a shape known as what? The square. Yes, you were right. Or it could be a rectangle, who knows? It depends on the size, how long it is. So we're normally talking about what? The outlines of an item or an object.
And within shape, we have 2D shapes, we have 3D shapes. So knowing
2D shapes and 3D shapes. What are 2D shapes and 3D shapes?
Oh, pardon me. 2-dimensional shapes, which is just a flat object,
surface.
a flat surface, and 3D shapes, 3-dimensional. It's got a breadth,
Like a cone.
Like a cone, exactly.
Or a can.
A cube.
A cylinder would be the 2D shape, and then the the
3D shape will be a cone, and the 2D shape is the cylinder. So, and
cylinder, it's 3D shape cylinder.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
Right, so looking at shape, how is this useful? Because some of us are thinking,
shapes?
Shape? Why does my child need to know about shape? Why is there shape in the math curriculum? Shape is useful for real life representations of things, and also, for instance, looking at older children going into secondary school, into college. If a child wants to go into designing, into engineering, into arts, These things are very important for them to know about their different types of shape, being able to name them and being able to identify them in real life, and knowing how to apply it to use it for certain things depending on the property of that shape. How do we learn shape at home? We've got examples like shape hunts. You might go on a shape hunt with your child, and we have done that today, so we'll be showing you a video in a minute about how to do shape hunts.
With shapes, I feel like it's not just supposed to be in the house. It could be just looking outside of the window. What shape do you see? Look at the neighbor's window. What shape is it? What can you see outside? I'm looking at the sun. What shape is the sun? Those sort of things. We're outside. What can you see on the bus? What can you see in that restaurant? What can you see? Just walking about. Again, don't sit the child down and teach them about shapes. Learn as you go, and that's much more fun.
Yeah, making learning maths exciting and fun. So, Mr. Maker, you mentioned Mr. Maker.
Oh yeah, I did mention. So I don't know. Most parents who've got younger children might know this. So there's Mr. Maker. He's on, I think, BBC, and he comes up with these songs about shapes, and then it's really, really fun. Check it out. It's called "I Am a Shape," and it goes like, "I am a shape. Dun, 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 dun. I am a square." Dun, dun. And then you see a picture of a square. The children love it, and they just join in. So if you've got younger children, and I used to do this in year 6, I used to just sing it to them, and then they were like, "Oh my goodness!" But they loved it. Trust me, they could remember some of the songs as well. So yeah.
And exactly, so a way of making shape to fit in again with our CPA, concrete pictorial abstract, is the real life representation, like Candy just said, in the home, finding those shapes, they are concrete, and then drawing the shape as a pictorial, and then an abstract learner is then applying it to different things. I want to
trigonometry and
geometry, which they will later do in secondary school and college. So here is our video for you on shape. It's a very short one.
You have to try and come out of that end. Is that the live session? Or?
That's
okay. Put it in the bin. Okay, this is
perfect.
We've got it.
So it's 2 minutes.
2 minutes. It's come all the screen, please.
It doesn't. You get it if no release the top. So we've got a shape hunt that you went on today, and you were able to take pictures of different shapes around the house. So I want you to tell me just a little bit about the different shapes you found and how you know that was the right shape.
I think this is a TV, and I think the shape is a rectangle. And
How did you know it's a rectangle?
because it's longer than a square.
Wow, very good. Well done for spotting that rectangle on the TV. Okay, let's move to the next shape.
This is a keyhole. I took a picture of it, and it looks like a circle because it has one round side.
Yes, you are right. It does have one round side. That's very good. So yeah, okay, I can see it's the picture of the back of the door, the keyhole. Well done. Very good spotting there. Okay, let's move on to your next picture. Let's have a look.
These are triangles, and they look like triangles because they have a pointy top. And
How many sides do you think a triangle has?
3.
A triangle definitely has 3 sides. Do you think these are all triangles?
No.
Ah, yes, well spotted. Not all of them. Let's move on to your next picture then.
These are squares because they have 4 sides, and they were in the garden outside.
Oh, yes, this is the pavement outside in the garden. Lovely. And I really like that you know that a square has 4 sides. Are all the sides equal?
Yes.
Well done. 4 equal sides. Right, so that was just a quick shape hunt. Child was given a phone to go and take pictures around the house of different shapes they can see, and then they were able to talk about it. That makes a child take ownership of their own learning. They went round themselves to find those shapes in the house, and she really enjoyed it, and she was able to talk about it more because it was her learning being brought to you. So making sure different types of learning isn't stringent to a table and a chair, but they are able to move around and apply their knowledge in those different ways. So that's it on shapes, and this is bringing us to a close. Before we close, are there any questions at all? And make sure you've pressed like for giving this video a thumbs up, and you've subscribed if you haven't done so already. Are there any questions so far on everything we have covered? So if I bring the session outline up here, we looked at the ground rules. We've looked at difficulties with maths. We've talked about the maths curriculum. We've looked at the basic skills of times tables, number bonds, all those things. And we've shared some free resources like the pasta and everything else. Is there anything else that you'd like to know? Any questions at all? Whether it's maybe something to do with secondary school or college or early years that you would like us to explain further, please feel free. This is your time to ask the questions. Yeah. Any questions at all? Feel free. This is telling me we've covered all your needs within the learning of maths at home. Okay, so we're going to bring it to a close then. Thank you for joining me today in our teaching of how to support your learning. We want to say a special thank you to our special guest who joined us, Candy, who joined us today. We absolutely appreciate the wealth of experience and knowledge she brought into today's session. So thank you very much. We are hoping to continue these sessions next week. So next week we'll be looking at special educational needs. How to adapt and differentiate learning for whether a child is a very high attainer or a very low attainer and they're not working at their age. It doesn't have to be a child who has a special educational needs statement per se. It could just be a child who's struggling in a certain area. So please come with your questions ready for next week's session. So next week we will be really looking into questions and answers, and also looking into differentiation. So next week you are driving the learning because it's all about special educational needs and also your questions that you may have. So I hope to see you next week with your questions about everything we have done this series, whether it's old sessions, new sessions, and also anything you want to know about special educational needs and adapting and differentiating your lessons. Thank you for joining me once again. I'm going to stay here if you have any further questions, because I know most of the time some people stay and ask questions at the end because they're a little bit shy. That's fine. I will stay here until all my guests have logged off. And I hope to see you again next week, Sunday, on time. Please subscribe. Please share. This video is going to be saved to my channel for your own reference or for other people who want to watch it. So you can share the link to them because they'll be able to watch it at a later stage. And as usual, kiss from this dimple, kiss from this dimple. Equia Dimples, I am signing out. Woo! Thank you very much. So I'll just be here reading your comments and waiting for everybody to leave the chat. So thank you again.
Wow.
Thank you, Mary. I can see Jennifer Chumesi says, well done, ladies. Mary saying this is great. I'm really sorry to everyone who's only logged in now. The session has ended, but this video will be saved on my channel if you do want to learn more about how to support your child in maths at home. So the session has come to a close now, and I'm just waiting for all my guests to go offline so I can also come offline. So thank you once again for joining in, and thank you for the great feedback. I'm just reading them all now. Thank you very much for coming.
just logged off, so I should have come off.
It's on. Right, so I can still see there are 5 people online. I'm just going to log off now. The session has come to an end. Once I sign out, you will still be able to watch this video because the video will be saved to my channel. So thank you to everyone who joined us today in our learning of how to teach your child maths at home. It was definitely an educational session with our guest today, who was a math specialist. So please do watch this video once it's saved on my channel. Like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you here again next week Sunday at 6 p.m. GMT. See you again very soon. Mwah!
You didn't get that dimple.